We are live. We've got people coming in. What's up, everyone? It is Webinar Wednesday. Kind of a new style Webinar Wednesday. We don't have any external guests today, but we've got a couple CompanyCam team members joining me, and we're going to dive a little further into what we talked about last month about being efficient with your business. And today we're going to get into the kind of a little bit more of how CompanyCam can help you with that efficiency. So we'll just introduce who we've got joining us. We've got Ryan Pitkin. Ryan is our mid-market or enterprise customer success manager. Before he took that role, he was an SMB customer success manager. So he's worked with contractors from 1 user up to 1,000 plus users. And he talks to them on the daily and really helps them on after they've already paid for CompanyCam, become more efficient with CompanyCam, drive more efficiency in their business. And then we've got Ryan Conrad, who is on the product side of things, and he's a product manager and does a ton of customer interviews. So he hears a ton of stories about what our customers are doing with the app, what they want it to do. He's seen a lot of those, what they want it to do through the finish line to where now it is what the app does. So let's go ahead and just kind of kick this off at a high level here. When we talk about efficiency, I'll go ahead and kick it. I'm going to go Pitkin and Conrad just so that we don't have to play the Ryan game all day. But Pitkin, let's go with you first. From an efficiency standpoint, high level, how are the contractors you're working with, how are they leveraging CompanyCam to become more efficient in their daily work?
Yeah. Well, with my current role, like you said, I'm working with some of those larger companies that 50 plus users up to hundreds of users, and so they're utilizing CompanyCam to kind of get a standard operating procedure across the board. Obviously, collecting those photos and trying to manage those, especially for larger companies, but even for SMBs, trying to manage those is really important. And so using stuff like our templates, the project templates, the checklist templates are huge. For training new guys, making sure they're getting the pictures that they need, or just setting up that standard operating procedure. So it's kind of the same across the board, doesn't matter who's out in the field, they know they're going to get the photos that they need, whether that's for supplements or for sales or for just the installation process. They have everything they need because it's all laid out for them really clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I kick it over to Conrad, I messed up. I failed. Communication. We want you guys to interact with us throughout this. So I was opening up the chat. If you're not familiar with Zoom and how the webinar features work, I just want to draw attention to the chat feature. If you have just a comment that you want to share, anything like that, you can do that in the chat feature. So if you want to give that a test run, let us know where you're joining us from today. Just to familiarize yourself with the chat feature. And then also we want to have questions. We want to make this interactive. So if you do have a question throughout this webinar, the Q&A box down there is an absolutely perfect place to do that. What's great about that is sometimes the chat will start kind of popping off and things can get buried. They can't get buried in the Q&A. So if you want something to make sure that we get it asked of Ryan, or myself, Q&A box, go there. Perfect. We got some people in the chat. Awesome. Matt from Kansas City, go Chiefs. Let's go ahead and kick it to Conrad then. Ryan, for you, when you think high level, when you're talking to contractors, where are you seeing that efficiency piece in leveraging CompanyCam?
I think a core part of what we try to deliver from the product perspective is really helping our contractors grow their business, which often means adjusting CompanyCam to meet their needs. And so a big way that I am particularly focused on that with my team is on workflows. And so the first question we tend to ask during interviews is, what does your current workflow look like, regardless of whether or not you're using CompanyCam? And then from there, we try to really ensure that not only they are familiar with all the options that and features that we've designed today, but hearing their pain points about what they are experiencing either with or without CompanyCam. And then I take that back to the team and say, how can we make this better for them? And I think that's really my focus, is just creating the fewest clicks possible, allowing them to spend less time trying to fiddle around with the app and technology, and more time focusing on getting the job done well from our perspective. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's two pieces of that yeah, absolutely. We want to know what the workflow is. We want to know, where does CompanyCam fit into that workflow? But I think the other piece that I want to make sure that is, evident from today's webinar is we want to hear and we want to get feedback from our customers, because while the product is amazing today, we want it to be even more amazing tomorrow and down the road in the future. And the only way that happens is from getting feedback from our customers. Let's maybe jump into, like, on that same topic, like a story time piece here of, specific examples of how contractors are leveraging different features to be more efficient in the field or whatever that may be. I can jump in on this one first. I see that we've got some people in Kentucky. I know Kentucky just absolutely got pounded with hail here in the last 7 days. But that's going to be where I jump to, is project templates and checklists. And Ryan, I'm sure you've got some good stories around this as well. But I think the big thing is, a lot of times in contracting, you have to scale up your sales force in a hurry because of some sort of natural disaster, whether that be wind, hail, whatever it is. I see Dana from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma's been pounded with hail too. And so when you think about that, of like, hey, we have to scale up our sales team as a business owner. I've got to have people out in the field doing inspections that maybe are new to my team, and I want them to be efficient. I don't want them to take a ton of time with their inspections or what they're doing. But B, I want some consistency, because while if they're out there doing an inspection, and like you talked about in your first answer, Ryan, from a supplementing standpoint, if they miss a whole bunch of things, now we have to go back out and we have to, get that documentation. And so project templates, checklists, report templates, those are all things that I've seen contractors really leverage, so that when they do have to scale up to, add 15, 20 sales reps, that they can at least have that assurance that, well, they're all going to be doing the inspection the same way. Like, they're all going to be going through the same process. Pitkin, hopefully I didn't completely steal your story time, but what have you seen as far as like specific features that, contractors are using to become more efficient?
Yeah, I'll give you some examples from the checklists. We have accounts that are using our project templates. So anytime you create a new project, you can have project templates, or even a default project template. So those checklists and report templates that you already have created are going to be in those projects automatically, just to speed up your workflow. But I mean, I've seen companies using multiple different checklist templates depending on which part of their teams are out in the field, right? Whether it's from sales, or maybe it's even a subcontractor who also is collaborating on the project and has a CompanyCam account, that they could utilize those through the premium tier. We have, even beyond roofing, like we already mentioned, supplements, getting the exact type of photos that you need. Solar's got a lot of different requirements, so making sure that you're getting the correct information. But we even have we have a company that does all their maintenance for rental trucks, and they have a checklist that goes through, tire pressure, oil level, and they take pictures of all those, they check it all off. So it's a liability thing, it's a training tool, it's a thing like, hey, here's what we did for you today, and that making sure that you hit X, Y, and Z. So there's so many different applications for it, from liability, training, sales, supplements, just across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I pass it to Ryan Conrad, I just would add on to that piece, leverage these things, whether it be CompanyCam or other form of technology, leverage those in your sales process. There's nothing better than to be able to say like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, we're going to do this 32-point inspection on your roof. And then, once you decide where the roofing company you're going to go with, we're going to, this is the installation checklist that we're going to go through. We'll share a report with you after we're done with that. At the end of the job, obviously, we don't want to leave any mess behind. We do a, quality assurance checklist that will walk the property with you, and we'll go over everything that we've done. Just things to help differentiate yourself from somebody else that's coming to try to sell that same homeowner. You can just use your technology in that sales process of like, hey, we do this 10-point quality assurance checklist at the end. We encourage our homeowners to walk the property with us while we go over everything that we've done, show all the cleaning and making sure everything's back to the way it was. Great answer there, Ryan. How about Ryan Conrad? Any stories that you've heard from contractors about how they're leveraging our tool to become more efficient in their daily work?
I think checklist is absolutely like the most go-to thing, prevalent thing right now. So I'm going to take it a bit further into the future a little bit, maybe go into an area I really shouldn't, but it's something that we're very excited about, which is leveraging AI. And it seems like everyone and their brothers talking about AI these days, and we're no exception. It's really an adapt or die kind of thing these days with everything, right? So what we want to eventually get to, and here is a little bit of a checklist tie-in, is that when you walk through a job site, you're able to create a job without ever typing anything on your phone. And so maybe that's creating a checklist from a voice note type of thing. Maybe that's just the overall project creation, but we want to make that whole process as seamless as possible, and just let you guys know that we are trying our best to stay up to date with the latest technology, and then providing those things back to our customers to make you guys the most valuable contractors you can be, because serving you all helps make us a better company also.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe taking the efficiency piece into a slightly different angle here. I'm going to kick this back to you, Pitkin, for this one. Let's maybe talk a little bit about how contractors are leveraging our API in terms of integrations, through whether that be Zapier, direct integrations, maybe even leaning on the Chrome extension, because eliminating duplicate work is also a huge part of becoming efficient as a business. Maybe just speak to the high level of how you're seeing, because obviously we've got tons of integrations, and with Zapier, it's limitless how many we can have, but how contractors are leveraging integrations to be more efficient.
Yeah, that's a great point. Integrations are huge because it can just optimize your workflow, so you're not duplicating work in your CRM or your other software stack. So whether that's something we have a direct integration with, that lists, I don't know what it's up to, 30, 35. And then with Zapier, like you said, then it is thousands. Having those CRMs and those other softwares create projects for you, or even from just an organizational standpoint where you can label projects automatically or have it pushed back to your CRM. The API, our open API and our webhooks allows you, we have a lot of companies that have their own custom CRMs or custom softwares that they're creating. And so we can integrate with those really seamlessly as well, just to speed up that whole workflow process. So you're not having to do it in your CRM or your other software and then going over here and having to do it in CompanyCam too. And then not just from a setup perspective, but also gaining access to those photos. So maybe you use another software for your supplements or for a different process. You can have those photos pushed back to that other software, so you're not having to send them back and forth. So really, really smooth. And then from a Chrome extension standpoint, I think that's super valuable. Well, basically, the Chrome extension allows you to get photos from CompanyCam to any other website that you can access through Google Chrome, and without having to download them. So that could be from a marketing thing, right? Getting them to Facebook or Instagram, not having to download them directly to your computer and then upload them later. It's just like you would do a normal post. instead of uploading them from your computer's hard drive, it connects you to your CompanyCam account. You pick the photos and videos you want, and they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram with your posts. So it's great for marketing stuff. It's great for other softwares that we may not have a direct integration with. And maybe your company's not big enough where you have a technology person that can set up an open API integration where that Chrome extension with just a couple clicks can take care of that custom integration for you.
Yeah, we got some questions. So I was actually just getting ready to encourage you guys to either ask questions on maybe how you could become more efficient with CompanyCam in your business, or even to share some stories, because that's honestly the biggest piece. When I was on the phones on a daily basis and I was selling CompanyCam, I love to take stories that I heard from John over here and how he was winning with CompanyCam and tell Susie over here, like, hey, this is some things you can do with CompanyCam. But we do have a couple questions here. Fred asked, says they're a small family business. Where can they get some examples of checklists? And then they have not done much on the website. Is there a place that they can implement some of the features? And they also want to use CompanyCam as a report tool. Need to paste in charts or certifications. The program will not support that feature. That gets a little in the weeds. I bet we could figure that piece out for you by uploading those as images, Fred. But at the high level, and I'll let Ryan kind of speak to this, but we have what we call a customer success rep for every one of our customers. And so like the absolute best way to learn more about features, those kind of things is to connect with your customer success rep. We also, and I'll let Ryan kind of talk to this, we have a pretty robust checklist library currently where you can go in and you can kind of see what's out there. Just explore those. You can make copies of them, whatever you need to do. So Ryan, do you want to maybe talk just a little bit more in depth about, those two things of just the success team that we have, but then also the checklist library?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and Fred, I was just looking yours up and we'll get you connected. So Francesca is your customer support rep, your customer success manager. So anyone with a CompanyCam account has that person to not only help with like quick support questions, because we also have a support team that you can chat from the app or from the computer for real quick responses. But then you all have a customer success manager that you can call for questions, for training. When you bring on new users, they can help train them, walk you through new features. Maybe you're on the pro account right now and you want to learn more about the premium features. Your customer success manager will help you with all those things. And then as far as some examples, especially if you are on the premium tier, you can go into CompanyCam on the website and on the left side menu. And I don't know, can I share my screen? Does that work, Logan?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay, I'll just show you. So if I'm in my CompanyCam project here, or in my account, right down here under community checklists, this is basically a library of checklists that we have created or some of our partners have created. And some of them are private because they use it just for their company, but most of them are public. So you can use any of them. The ones that have kind of this generic blue icons are ones that we have created in-house. And then the other ones with the different logos are from our partners that you can have access to. So you go to those community checklists, you basically just need to subscribe to them. Okay. So if I click on APC here, I just need to subscribe to it. It doesn't cost you anything. We just make you subscribe to it. That way, if you're in the roofing industry, you probably don't want to clutter up your checklist templates with painting or HVAC templates. So subscribe to the ones you want. Once you subscribe to them, you can access them from the phone or from the computer, either one. And then when you're in a project, you go to checklists, create a checklist, and then you can say use existing template here. Now you can see I've got quite a few different templates that I'm subscribed to, so yours wouldn't look quite this jumbled here, but then you can just pick the ones you want. You can use those. If you're on the premium tier, you can use those. You can even modify them and resave them as your own template. So it gives you kind of a good starting spot. So you're not starting from scratch. And we have stuff, from lots of different industries, from safety to inspections, to walkthroughs, to, a lot of different processes.
Yeah, absolutely. While we're kind of on that topic, if you are either on Pro and interested in trying Premium, or you're not sure what you're on, whether you're on Premium or Pro, which don't feel bad. There are a lot of people that are like, I don't know what I'm on. Either way, I'm going to drop my email in the chat. It's just michael@companycam.com. Shoot me an email. I will get you over to your success manager, and we will get you 14 days to try premium premium features for free. We can do a demo for you, no cost, no obligation. If you are like, hey, I don't know what I'm on, but I definitely want to learn more about these, checklists and project templates, those kind of things, that's totally fine too. We can still also get you connected with your success manager and make sure that, we get you taken care of and show you that. All right. Any other questions from the audience? I would want to make sure we get that. There we go. Josh Brown, is there a way to preview community checklists before adding it to your own templates?
So you can, that's a great question, Josh. Let me pull mine up here. Even if you add it, you can unsubscribe and you can delete it. So as long as you're an admin or manager on your account, let's say you add it and you look at it, you're like, oh no, we don't need that, or it's not quite what we want, or you change it, you edit it and you resave it as your own template, then you can go back in to that same community checklist area and unsubscribe to it and delete it from your your template drop down. So it's really easy. You won't be able to preview it without subscribing first, but it's really easy to remove if you need to.
Yeah. With that question, Ryan, I'm going to kick it over to you. You mentioned AI a little bit, which is super exciting with the reports. Let's just talk high level of like how we want to really make a push in making these reports great for the contractors. I know there's a lot of things like conditional formatting or questions on reports. Like if we answer yes to this, then it pops up this, those kind of things. What is the best way? So obviously we've got a mix of people, some that have probably used these a little bit. Maybe we've got some proficient people in here today, some that this is the first time they've ever heard of it. As they're using these reports, if they say, hey, this report or checklist would be so much better if, what's the best way for somebody to get that if statement over to us as a company and to you guys as a product team?
We have a couple different ways that we intake feedback from folks, and sometimes we try to be a bit more on the proactive side, and we will proactively reach out to our customers who we know either haven't been spoken to in a while, or actively use some of these tools, and we just want to check in to make sure that it's as expected and working right, that what we're delivering is actually providing value. Another way is that customer support team. Sometimes folks will make a request with someone that they speak to regularly, that they have these touch points with from CompanyCam, and that team will notify our product teams internally, so we can reach out on our own as well. So and then we also have that help button in the app where if you have suggestions and stuff, they have a whole form capture process where you can also add some details about what you wish you were using. And then we can also intake that from the product side and consider that for future build out.
Absolutely. So we've talked integrations. We've talked a ton about project templates, checklists, report templates. What if we were to take this back to kind of the OG CompanyCam days, some of those features that maybe don't get used a ton, but that if used well, really can add to some efficiency. I'll kind of kick it off. I'm the gray-haired guy here in the group. I've been with CompanyCam for 7 years, so a lot of these features, I'm like, oh, wish we had those 7 years ago. I'm going to go with tags. Both project or photo tags and then project labels. They're essentially the same thing, except for tags live on a photo, labels live on a project. But when you think about efficiency, and this is a big piece, again, in that selling or even the training aspect of it, as a business owner, if you're saying, hey, we just did this shingle brand and this shingle color, we can add that to a project as a label, the brand and the color type of shingle. So that way, the next time one of your reps are in a house trying to sell and they say, well, I see the board here and I think I love that color, and they're trying to hold it up next to their siding. And they're like, I just don't know, like, I just don't know. I can't picture it. Your reps are easily going to be able to say, no worries, we've installed this on a ton of homes. Let me pull up some examples for you. And they're able to filter projects by those labels and say, here is the Pinnacle Pristine Black or whatever shingle it is, and show that. The other would be on training. So if you have a photo of either good work or maybe it's bad work, you can tag that photo as training. So that way, in your weekly or monthly Monday meetings, whatever you guys have, you can easily filter all of your photos down and say, well, here's the 12 training photos we pulled from last week. What is wrong in this photo? Oh, Josh isn't wearing a harness and tied off properly, or, we installed the pipe jack incorrectly, or whatever it is. And so you can kind of use that to quickly find reference items to show, hey, this wasn't done correctly, or this was done really, really well. Great job. Pitkin or Conrad, do you guys have any of the more OG features that you can be like, yeah, like we have a lot of these new awesome features, but we also have some of these OG features that, if used and used well, can really enhance the efficiency in your business?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of stole my thunder. Every time someone asks underutilized, it's tags and labels. That's number one. Always, because it is a way you're starting as you're using CompanyCam, you're going to get hundreds and thousands of projects, hundreds of thousands of photos. So to be able to organize those and filter for them really quickly, whether it's previous jobs, and we have a lot of people that I see use it as a workflow tool as well. So it's like, okay, the sales team was out there, now it's on to production, or now it's on to installation. And so they'll use labels as the job progresses, almost like a workflow management tool. But then also, like you're talking about, Gogan, on the sales side of it, being able to pull up examples really quickly and easily. Another one, especially for our SMBs, maybe the smaller companies that don't have a dedicated marketing person or a smaller team, like showcases, for example, being able to take projects that you have in your CompanyCam account that you're already using internally and putting them on your website. Once you connect your website to your CompanyCam account, and we give you like a 10-step instructions on how to do that. And again, our success team can help you set that up. Then to get photos from CompanyCam to your website is extremely fast. Not having to know any coding or anything like that. You pick the project you want to display, you pick the photos that you want to display, write any notes or descriptions you want on there, and boom, it's up on your website. So current customers or potential customers can see those. And we find a lot of, especially of our smaller, SMBs, they don't update their website very often because it's a hassle. They don't have time. They're busy in the field. They don't have a dedicated person. With showcases, you can consistently update your website with new work in less than 5 minutes, a week.
Yeah, I'm gonna double down on that one, Ryan, because I would say that there are 80+% of you that are with us right now that probably have photos on your website from the day that you built your website. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the fact of the matter, that it is kind of a pain. It is tedious to add images to your website. With our showcase widget, you install that once, and now you're able to add all the jobs you're doing. Also, just a little marketing plug here, showcase the jobs you want to sell. If you don't want to sell 3-tab shingles, don't post a bunch of 3-tab jobs on your showcase. Post the jobs that you're wanting to sell on your website. Post some of the higher end products that you have with some descriptions as to why you leveraged or use those products. Ryan, I'm going to defer to you. Naomi has a question here. SEO.
Yeah, I was just messaging Christian, which he just responded with as well. So there was an active push at one point to regarding SEO on showcases. We unfortunately had to chop that from our book of work at the time. However, as mentioned there is some less proactive boost to SEO just because, as we said, you're getting customers or potential customers to spend more time on your website. And if you're got more, so the pagination works so that they're only showing 3 projects at a time. So my hope is that you create, all your projects end up being showcases. And so they're scrolling, right? And they're clicking and they're spending more time on your page, which are both things that just add more value, not only to your website, but do feed into the algorithm, just maybe to a lesser extent.
Perfect. I'm glad we have you here today, Ryan.
And to add to that, just some examples.
Ryan, any features that you can think of that are maybe a little bit more on the OG side, but that can add to efficiency?
So I'm a little disheartened that you already stole showcases, because like that was like one of the first things that I was hired to work on a little over 2 years ago, or about 2 years ago. But I did think of another one, which is annotations on photos. And I bring that up for a couple of reasons. One is because I think it's one of our most powerful tools that works consistently well, that when utilized by contractors is just becomes super valuable because it feeds so many downstream processes. So by the time, like when you first enter that job site, you're taking photos. Well, if you annotate that photo, then pictures are worth 1,000 words. So your guys have a better understanding of what the job is that needs to be done. But then by the time you're done with the job, you can use those photos to sell as part of your showcase or on a report to show the work that you've demonstrated and done. So I think that's a really valuable part, not only to say that that's also a part of the app that I'm interested in tweaking a little bit to maybe add some more value here in the near future. So just a plug to get familiar with that portion of our app, because I hope to bring more value there before the end of the year.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't know we would end up down the annotations rabbit hole, so I don't have the images pulled up, but I have a presentation somewhere that I gave. It was for Pentech Coatings, so shout out to Pentech Coatings. And the annotations were used to show where they needed to coat and where they weren't supposed to coat. And I kind of chuckled when I stumbled on the images the first time, because they were like pretty obvious things. I felt like, yeah, obviously you're not coating that. But then when I dug into it and I, talked to that customer a little bit more, they said, you'd be amazed how many times we've had something coated that wasn't supposed to be coated, or something not get coated that was supposed to get coated. And you think about that from an efficiency standpoint, imagine having to go back and fix said mistake, or, go back and coat a small area that you missed. And every trade has those, opportunities for failure, where it's like the sales guy goes in and says, yeah, these are the things we're going to do. And then the production team goes in there. And if they don't have images with good annotation and notes, there's no way that they're going to know exactly what needs to get done on that job. I always joke, Mrs. Smith's rose bush. While it might seem like just another rose bush, maybe that's Mrs. Smith's pride and joy. Like, circle that thing, annotate that thing, make sure that image is well known, that like, hey, this rose bush is very, very sacred. Let's be extra cautious when we're working around said rose bush. So Ryan, great there. This fits in with a big push we're making in Q3 here as well. Fred's got a question here on cell phone coverage, and obviously that plays a role in efficiency of your job. not always able to get Wi-Fi? Is there an offline feature for pictures? Conrad, do you want to maybe take the first shot at that one?
Absolutely. Happy to do so, because we literally just stopped some of the work that we're doing right now in one area of the app to prioritize offline mode. And specifically for checklists, that's one that we hear quite a bit about, because from a pictures perspective, you can initiate a project and take photos and assign them to that project while offline. So that we feel like that's partially resolved, not totally, granted, and we want to improve there. But checklist is really the big pain point we're hearing with folks at the moment. So we've reached a point where we've created a proof of concept that's working, and we now plan to roll that out to all our different features and product teams to make sure that we adopt that those same offline patterns throughout the app. And my team specifically will be starting that work shortly here next month, and with hopes to deliver something sooner than later, so that people are able to use the app as they intend to use it, as simply and I'm missing the word, intuitively as possible.
Yeah. An analogy I would always use in the very early stages, because offline mode, we've always had the ability to like continue to take photos and have those kind of upload into said project, is just the faucet at your house. And, you know, if you're in the project and you're taking photos, but you don't have that connectivity, the water's just right there. And once you get to connectivity, that's the turning of the faucet. It's now on. Those photos will upload. So great question there about an efficiency. To my knowledge, Fred, yes, offline is going to be the same whether you're in pro or premium. That's functionality of the app. We want the app to work for you, so that's going to be in all of our tiers of pricing. But great question there. Ryan, any, we're a little over halfway, kind of nearing the, that sweet spot of 45 minutes into a webinar. Anything that you feel like we haven't covered that you're like, man, Michael, why did you not tee up this question for me? This is kind of my escape to be like, hey, I told you to just throw it out there now. It's not my fault that I didn't tee up a question for you. Is there anything we haven't covered that you're like, man, when we think about efficiency and using our tool to become more efficient in your business, this is where it's at?
Yeah. I think collaborators is something more people are discovering with their subcontractors. So of course, having people on your user list, adding users, adding your team is great because it gives them access to the range of features that you're already paying for. That way you're getting the most out of CompanyCam. But maybe you've got some subcontractors that are just doing a little bit of work for you here and there, and you need pictures from them, and you're not getting them because they're not texting them to you. They're not emailing them back, or maybe they're not even taking them, and you're a little hesitant to, pay those guys if you're not knowing what's going on. You can add them as a collaborator for free. It's free for you. It's free for them on the basic account. It is going to limit a lot of the features they have access to if they're not a paid user. But then that way they can at least see photos that you've already taken. They can take photos for that project and that go right to your project and your account. So it kind of eliminates that gap. And like what was, I think, kind of mentioned before, if they are a paid CompanyCam user, maybe they have their own account that they use for their own company, then they can utilize any checklists on the premium tier, checklist templates that you're utilizing. So again, uses that efficiency, that standard operating procedure, not only for your own team, but for your subcontractors as well.
Love it.
Two things that come to mind for me. We started this talk with checklists and kind of the templates that are involved there. But one feature that I think we snuck out, and I really just want to hit home with folks right now, is that default project template. And what's important about that default ability is it makes use of all that subsequent template work that's been delivered. So every time, if you've integrated with us through another third-party app, every time that project is created in CompanyCam, it automatically applies those templates to your project every time. So if you know you're doing a very similar job, it just reduces the amount of clicks you have to make. And that is available in our premium tier. And then a second thing that's really important to us right now that we're really trying to push hard on towards the end of this year is document signing, which is an add-on feature, not necessarily particular to a particular pricing tier, but what that provides you is that DocuSign-like ability to put a document in front of your customers and get a signature right there.
Awesome. Love it. Those were great additions, Ryan. I dropped my email in the chat again. If document signing, if you're like, hey, I'd like to see what that's all about, shoot me an email. If you want to try, default project templates, checklists, any of the templated stuff that we have, shoot me an email and I'll make sure we get you on a 14-day trial of it. If you're already in premium and you just need to, get a little bit of a test drive of those features, we'll have your customer success rep reach out, give you that. I love the default project template. I think about that and it's like, hey, I'm a roofing contractor. We're doing residential inspections. It's just that one extra step. Like, yeah, we can do all the training in the world, but you send a green bean out in their first few inspections, they're inevitably going to miss some things. And if you've got that, project template set up with the checklist all right there, that's hopefully going to limit the amount of mistakes that they could potentially make. So yeah, love that feedback, Josh. Before we kind of sign off here, I'm going to give that nice little awkward 60 seconds. Start clicking the keys. If you've got a question, I want to help get that answered for you. If not, copy paste michael@companycam.com. Shoot me an email. I can get you to your success rep. But I just want to thank all of you for joining us. Ryan and Ryan, thanks for jumping in with me in a webinar today. Hopefully you guys had a good time. But I also want to iterate that we want to help you learn more about these features. While we kind of glossed over at a high level some of these features, we have the manpower on the back end to dive deeper into these on a one-on-one basis with you. We've got a ton of articles and help docs. Christian's in the background right now, just dropping those in chat, doing a great job there. We've got the resources. We want to help you become more efficient using our tool. And also, obviously, having Ryan Conrad with us, we want your feedback on how to make our tool even better in the future. I think I rambled for at least close to a minute. Any parting shots from either of you? Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining us. And we've got an exciting one, I believe next month. We're bringing in somebody that was super active in chat last webinar, and he's actually going to jump on screen with me and we're going to chat. So he was super active in the chat, and I said, I want that guy on a webinar, and I believe Christian made that happen. So if not, again, blame Christian. But I'm pretty sure that's going to be in next month's webinar. Ryan, anything before I sign us off?
One parting thought is a lot of what we talked about today was gathering. The product team wants to gather feedback from you all, right? That's very important to the job that we do in ensuring that we're deliver the best product for you all. But that doesn't have to be over Zoom. We would love to visit you guys on a job site, visit you guys in your office as well, to literally see how you're using the app side by side. So if there's ever an opportunity to do that as well, we'd love to take advantage of that. So hope to see you in person.
Absolutely. And I will, if it's California, Hawaii, any of those, I'll come with Ryan as well and make sure he can find where he needs to get to. So again, thank you all for joining us today, and we will see you next month with another webinar.